Hey, what is up, mortals? Welcome to part 6 season 1 of What If Deku Was in 1B. Just wanted to greet you guys by just saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat, so we begin. Even though Todoroki was first with a 10 million bounty, his power display gave people the confidence that he could keep his points for the whole game. Izuku shook it out of his head as Takage, who was next to him, poked his arm. So, who else is going to be in our team? Izuku looked at Takage as she sighed. I guess it's expected that no one's coming. You didn't show your quirk for wanted to see. Wait, Izuku sputtered out as he waved his arms around at Takage. You want to be on my team? The female greenette nodded with a confident smile. It's better to team with people you get along with, right? A fountain of tears erupted from Izuku's eyes. Thank you, Takage. Yes, for teams. It's best to be with people you can communicate with smoothly. Takage giggled before giving Izuku some pats on the back to stop him crying. Don't put yourself down. Confidence, remember. You're a great strategist. We can just run away from Todoroki and Bakugo and collect the smaller points with my quirk. Izuku nodded when he had an idea but put it away. Deku, Takage asked, but Izuku shook his head. I was just thinking of friends, then Monoma. But even though it would be better to have more strategists, he awkwardly chuckled as he remembered the words he exchanged with the blonde at the end of hero training. I guess I want a rematch with him too. A commotion caught their attention as a girl with pink hair, Mei Hatsume, tried to get Todoroki to let her into his team. At first, he ignored her. But when Ida turned down his recruitment offer, he let her in with a sigh so Hatsume would stop shoving gadgets into his face. The greenettes shrugged at each other when Komori awkwardly patted Izuku's arm, her hair covering her eyes, so she was in her gloomy mode. Komori, the mushroom girl, shuffled on her feet as she quietly spoke. I want to be in the spotlight, but the first and second places won't let me join because they don't know me. Can I join you? The two greenettes looked at each other and smiled before nodding. The other teams were pretty much set as they looked around. And Izuku was thinking of how to combine their quirks when he saw someone standing alone awkwardly in the crowd. Him, walking off quickly. Izuku grabbed the student's shoulder with determination. Join my team. A few seconds later, the timer buzzer went off, and midnight excited the ground into cheers. Mike was trying to wake up Aizawa, who fell asleep before yelling into the microphone. We have 12 cavalry teams lined up on the field. There are some interesting teams out there. Now raise those battle cries. It's time for UAS bloody battle. Izuku rapped the team's total point of 445 onto his forehead as he sat as the rider. Takage, yes, Komori, my mushrooms and I are ready to shine. Manga, I'm counting on you. Cheers suddenly erupted from the crowd as Izuku glanced around briefly at the teams already set on a strategy. Monoma, in a team with Tsubiruba, Kaibara and Kiwaro, turned to Izuku and Tetsu. No hard feelings, okay? They both grinned back. Yes, now, let's go. Counting down to the brutal battle royal. The teams readied themselves. 3, 2, 1. Izuku gulped but put on a smile. Start, go. Izuku had instructed their team to immediately head to a corner of the square limit as he wanted to take advantage of the cavalry battle rule. You can't purposely knock a team down. Splash. Manga's quirk made their immediate area suddenly soaked with water as Takage's body split into her maximum of 50 parts. Izuku stood guard with his hands raised as he looked at everyone from where he stood. Tetsu had immediately rushed for Todoroki along with multiple other teams. Monoma was following the ones blindly after the first place holder, and Izuku pointed at a group. Takage, it was Kamakiri, riding on pony as she galloped around, with the mantis-like boy as their offense. Izuku wanted their 145-point band. Takage's body made a beeline to the boy when a blade shot out his head, but the hand expertly moved around and grabbed the headband before coming back. Mushrooms grow. Rain and Shishida had tried to run to them, but Komori was the team's defense. The second they stepped into Manga's wet circle, a wave of mushrooms grew onto their bodies and immobilized the team. Takage went to retrieve their 190-point headband as Izuku put it on, profiting while others fight. Monoma chuckled as he waved a 260-point headband, standing just out of Manga's range. It was from Team Hagakure. Looks like we have similar ideas. Midoriya, now then, it's barely past 2 minutes, and it's already turned into a free-for-all. Mike yelled as he slammed his desk. Fights over headbands are breaking out all over. Ignoring first and going for second or fourth isn't bad either. Team Todoroki was being flanked on both sides by Team Mainta and Team Tetsu as a tongue shot out from Mizo Shoji's lifted arms. Todoroki just dodged it, and it just passed Tetsu before it reeled itself back. A flurry of sticky balls from Minoru Mainta and a tongue from Tsuyu Asui was attacking as Mike voiced over the fight. Team Mainta makes use of the overwhelming difference in their sizes. They're like a tank. Hatsum used a jetpack to help fly them across a ramp of ice, away from the attack, as Todoroki used more of his quirk to drop the frozen balls like hail. Subaruba used his solidified air as a shield as Team Monoma collected fallen points, and a loud blast erupted from the field. Bakugo shot into the air like a rocket, and black smoke trailed behind the screaming explosive blonde, icy hot bastard. Izuku watched as the explosion hit a titanium shield Momo made. The crowd went wild as Mike screamed out, "He's gotten separated from his horse. Is that okay?" A string of tape flew out, sticking to Bakugo and pulling him back into the arms of Siro and Mina, who awkwardly grinned. "It's a technicality, so it's okay," Midnight confirmed. It wouldn't have been if he'd touched the ground, though. The crowd went wild, loving the drama between the two powerhouses from 1A as 1B was slipping by unnoticed. That all changed, however, as Mike announced that 7 minutes had passed, indicating the halfway point. Now, let's take a look at each team's points. The current rankings are up on the screen. The crowd quietened when they faced the board as they noticed something. "What? Wait a minute." Even though the shouting was about 1A, Mike voiced what everyone saw. "Other than Todoroki, class isn't doing so well." Bakugo. "What?" The crowd turned to see Monoma pulling the 585-point band off Bakugo's head, leaving them with 0 points. "You're too simple-minded, Bakugo Katsuki." Monoma's voice was thick with venom as he spoke, and the horse of his team quickly made their escape. "Oi, give that back." The two blondes just glared at each other, trying to be the superior one as Monoma just kept adding salt to the wound. "If I remember correctly, you were the kid from the sludge villain incident last year. I guess even with experience, you still lose." Bakugo's voice was now oozing with killing intent as he locked eyes on his new target. "Oi, weird hair. Huh, bah." Hiroshima cut himself off as he turned to see Bakugo, his whole body giving off an aura that spelt destruction. Change of plans, before Isahot and worthless Deku. "Let's kill all these guys." With Bakugo's attention on Monoma, Izuku instructed talkage around the rest of the cavalry court. Class 1A no longer had any points, and that meant they were after their own class now. With quick decision-making skills, he got talkage to corner Team Yanagi as Komori and Manga immobilized them. Bondo tried to get them out, but his glue made their situation more sticky. Kodai was also helpless as she couldn't shrink the mushrooms. Her quirk only affected non-living items, and there was nothing she could shrink or grow. Yanagi had one last attempt at using her quirk to float all of Team Izuku's points away, but Izuku stopped her by imaging a microwave not exploding while an egg was inside it. He gently swatted the air, and the pressure was enough to make Yanagi unsteady as talkage swooped in to collect the 270-point headband. Phew. Talkage sighed as a few parts returned to have their timer reset. "Are you guys all okay?" Izuku asked, and they nodded. Komori had an easier time using her quirk in Manga's wet environment, but she was getting a little tired as her usual cheery voice was filled with breaths. Manga was rubbing his neck, indicating that his voice was becoming sore and his quirk was also reaching its limit. The only ones who weren't tired were Talkage and Izuku. Looking at the board, Todoroki was first with his 10,160 points. It was Monoma who was second with 1,265 points and Tetsu third with 1,105. Team Izuku was fourth with 1,050. "We should be fine," Izuku had started to say, but the greenette could see something that caught his eye before anything. Team Kendo. Ida had turned Todoroki down for 2 reasons. One was because Todoroki was in the first place, and 2 was because he wanted to compete against the classmate he respected. He was now the horse for Team Kendo, and they had Uraraka and Takoyami too. Less than half the time left now. Get ready, guys. Team Kendo still had their original points and another band bringing them to 725 points as they faced Izuku. "I wasn't expecting a confrontation yet," Izuku muttered as he saw the time. "It doesn't matter. We will hold on to our points. Be confident." With a shaky smile, Izuku turned to his team. "Face all directions. They're off the ground. It's that girl Uraraka's quirk, zero gravity. Ada's engine can make them fly from any direction, and that dark shadow can freely move." He and Monoma had memorized every Hero Corps student's quirks, which was why this was a problem. The combination in front of them was not a group that Komori's mushrooms could stop quickly. With less than 6 minutes left, individual battles started to rage out. The ones with no points made desperate attempts at Todoroki, who got Kaminari to electrocute the area, saving only his team with Momo's insulation blanket. Temporarily paralyzed, The rider froze the ground and stuck them into place. As for Bakugo, he was growling as he and his team rushed forward at the taunting Monoma. Die! Monoma moved aside from the incoming explosion, much to Bakugo's surprise. To make it worse, the second he turned around, the blonde got a blast to his face. Unable to block, Bakugo took the blow as Monoma gasped. Wow, what a nice quirk. His fingers brushed against Kirishima's upstanding hair as Bakugo reeled back and aimed again. This time, an explosion that was fierce enough to blow anyone back was aimed at Monoma. But as the wind pressure cleared, the Class B blonde sighed. Really, such nice quirks. Mine's better, though. The smoke cleared to show Monoma using Kirishima's hardening, and Team Bakugo was left speechless. He's copying. What? Well, even an idiot can figure it out. Ha! Bakugo was beyond pissed. But before he could lash out again, Team Yanagi was there, and Bondo shot out a wave of glue. Bondo, picking a fight. Ha! Monoma's team quickly ran out of there before the glue could make physical contact as Kirishima's leg was caught. The glue dried, and their team was stuck as Bondo ran after Monoma. Zero was yelling at Mina to hurry with her acid to melt the hardened glue as Bakugo went deadly silent. 1 minute left. For the past 5 minutes, they had managed to keep Team Kendo at bay with Manga increasing the nearby humidity to the max. Komori had attached their feet to the floor multiple times, but with Uraraka floating the team and Ida pulling them out as Kendo batted the spores away, they stood at a stalemate. Ida suddenly muttered something too far away for them to hear as Izuku whispered to Takage and Komori. Komori, can you still send one more wave of shrooms? The idol girl nodded with a weak smile as Manga's hoarse voice said, Splash. Takage, use the shrooms as camouflage and together aim for Kendo's body. She'll most likely swat them away. But Takage grabbed the points and we're getting out of here. At that moment, Team Kendo seemed ready to attack as Uraraka was on the verge of throwing up, having to carry their whole team for an extended time. Go. As the wave went out, a yell came from Ida. Torque over. Kendo batted the shrooms away as Izuku gasped, feeling their 445-point ban leave his head. RECIPROBURST. The team had used Uraraka's zero-gravity quirk to make them weightless as Dark Shadow carried the girl. With them practically floating, Ida had flown them past Izuku, with Kendo's hands acting as a direction controller. Uraraka cheered as Takoyami held the 445-point headband, but they stopped as Kendo gasped. What happened? So fast, so fast. Mike yelled as he caught up on what was going on. We thought the tables had turned, but Team Midoriya was prepared. They lost their starting band, so they should be at 605. But Takage handed 2 headbands over as Kendo's team looked at the board. They only had 445 points. Team Midoriya has 1330 points. They are now in second place. Team Kendo could no longer speed forward as Ida's engines let out black fumes of smoke, and Mike went back to the board. Todoroki is still in first place with his winner's headband. Then it's Midoriya, Monoma and Tetsu. Are these the top 4 teams to move on to the next round? Monoma was happy with his spot in the third place when Bakugo's shouting caught his attention. Geez, so persistent. As a hero, not to mention as a person, that persistence will. BOOM. Bakugo. Subaruba. Guard. Subaruba let out a huff of air which solidified into a round disc. Bakugo landed on the vertical circle with a feral expression and held onto the edge with a snarl. The ash blonde punched the air wall with an angered face, and Monoma turned to run again. However, Bakugo smashed through the air wall with a battle cry and grabbed every band around Monoma's neck. He took 2. Zero's tape grabbed Bakugo's falling body and pulled him back into the team as Mike yelled out. Team Bakugo seizes 2 headbands to move him to 4th place with 845 points. The rankings keep changing in the final stages. Monoma was down to 420 points and out of the winning circle as he looked around at other teams, calculating from where he should take headbands. However, Bakugo wasn't finished yet. We're taking his last points. Then we're going for 10 million. His team clenched their teeth as they got ready and listened to what Bakugo wanted. Flat face. Tape. It's Zero. The tape shot out and flew forward, and Monoma looked back in question. You missed. Raccoon eyes. Lay down a weak dissolving solution in the direction we're going. My name is Mina Ashido. Mina yelled as acid poured out her body and shot forward. With Monoma still confused about what was going on, Bakugo grinned as his explosions propelled the whole team forward. Subaruba tried to make another air wall, but Bakugo quickly smashed through it and grabbed the remaining points, bringing his total to 1265 and into 3rd place. Monoma looked shocked as the loss pushed him all the way to last with 0 points. Bakugo is merciless. If he's gonna do it, he's gonna be thorough. He's, A perfectionist. The crowd went wild as the board was now in the order of Todoroki, Midoriya, Bakugo and Tetsu. Now there are only seconds left. Next, we're going to where Deku and Icy Hot are. Their team made a rush at Todoroki, who was resting in the middle of frozen 0-point groups as Mike was emphasizing the end. Time's just about up. Start the countdown. Bakugo went hurling at Todoroki, who unconsciously let out a few wisps of flames from his left arm with only 5 seconds left. Momo made a shield as Kaminari discharged, letting electricity fly about. But before any crazy battle could break out, the buzzer went. With an anticlimactic crash, the blonde landed on the ground. In first place, Team Todoroki. They held on to their points. Momo sighed as Hatsune went to check up on her babies. Kaminari wobbled around, pulling a dumb face as his hands gave everyone the thumbs up. Todoroki just cradled his arm with a look of disappointment as he muttered under his breath, "Damn it." In second place, Team Midoriya. Izuku hopped down and grinned at his team. Takage nodded and returned a toothy grin as Komori waved at the cameras. Manga didn't say anything as his throat was sore from using his quirk to the limit, but he was happy too. Damn it. Bakugo was already squatting on the floor, screaming his lungs out as Mike yelled. In third place, Team Bakugo. So close, Mina sighed, shaking acid off her arms as Zero shrugged. Well, third isn't bad. Kirishima just stared blankly at Bakugo, throwing his temper tantrum. He sure disagrees. And in fourth place, Tetsu. What? It's Team Shinsu. When did you come from behind? Shinsu, the boy with purple hair, grinned as the rest of his team seemed utterly bewildered. Thank you for your hard work. Monoma eyed the purple-haired boy's points before analyzing the shocked expression on both Ajiro and Shota's face. These 4 teams will advance to the final round. It was time for the lunch break, and Tetsu turned to his team in bewilderment. What happened? They shrugged as Izuku, Takage and Monoma went over to check on them while Shizaki spoke. Before we knew it, we had 0 points, and it was over. Tetsu grabbed his head. I can't accept this. With the morning festivities coming to an end, the injured students went to see Recovery Girl as Izuku headed to the cafeteria with a sigh. What's up, Deku? Takage asked, peeking up at Izuku's face, and the boy backed up. Takage. Oh, it's nothing really. She seemed unconvinced, and Away suddenly joined the conversation. I can't see why you're upset, Deku. You passed on to the next round. Izuku shook his head, trying not to sound ungrateful. No. It's not that. I just wanted to aim for Todoroki too. You know, but why? The boy in the blue and white bandana asked. And Izuku smiled. Because I'm aiming for the top. I wanted to be first so that I can tell the world I am here. He puffed his chest ever so slightly to imitate All Might before exhaling and letting out a sigh. Takage just smiled and patted him on the back. Bring that confidence for our next battle. I might even fight you next. We can't hold back. Okay. Izuku smiled before nodding, trying to walk with a little more confidence as they picked up lunch and sat down as a class. Midoriya, we need to talk. Izuku had finished eating and was heading back with Takage when Monoma tapped his shoulder. Shota was there too, and the short chubby boy was nervous. The students returned to the stadium only for half the boys in 1B to stare wide-eyed at the girls of 1A. They had dressed in cheerleader outfits like the actual cheerleaders from America, and Momo tossed her pom-pom to the floor as she realized she was tricked. That was when Mike took everyone's attention and started to announce the finals and the recreational games that were being prepared as he spoke. It was an opportunity for those who didn't make it to the finals to show off their quirks in fun games such as the scavenger hunt and ball games. And when it's over, the 16 from the 4 teams that made it into the final round will duke it out tournament style, 1-on-1. Now, let's draw lots to determine the bracket, Midnight announced as she held a yellow box. Once the bracket is determined, we'll have the recreational games and then start. Now, for the first team. Ajiro from class A raised a hand, and Midnight paused as he spoke. I'm withdrawing. The students around him gasped as Ida asked him why. I barely remember anything from the cavalry battle until almost the end. I think it was the rider's quirk. Izuku looked at Monoma, who spoke to him earlier as they glanced at Shinsu standing off to the side. I know that this is a great chance and that it's foolish to waste it, but Ajiro clenched a fist as he spoke. Everyone here competed by giving their all. I can't be up there with everyone without knowing what really happened. The girls in his class tried to change his mind, but Ajiro couldn't do it. His pride wouldn't let him. I'm Naranjaki Shota from Class B. The others watched as the quiet, humble boy of their class stepped forward. I also want to withdraw for the same reason, regardless of ability. Don't you think it goes against the goal of this sports festival? For those who didn't do anything to move on to the final round, It was what got on Izuku's nerves exactly earlier too. If it wasn't for Takich, all he did was strategize and not entirely fight Todoroki. It pressed on his nerves but pushed it down as the girl who sparked confidence in him gave him a little nudge. "What's with these guys?" Kirishima yelled, holding back tears. "They're so manly." It was an unusual turn of events. And up to Midnight to decide. She looked condescendingly down from her platform as she spoke slowly. "Youthful talk like that is." Midnight raised a whip, and the audience heard a crack as she smiled. "Something I like." She accepted Shota and Ajiro's withdrawal as her eyes trailed along some students. "In that case, we'll have to move up 2 students," with her choice being Team Tetsu, who were so close to getting 4th. Oase and Honuki ended up stepping back from the opportunity. Tetsu and Shizaki moved on to the final round and Midnight turned on the name generator. 16 names appeared on the screen as Midnight announced the beginning of the recreational games. And Izuku looked at his opponent's branch. His nerves were trying to calm down as he could already feel his confidence running out. Shinsu, thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out mortals. Have a fantastic day.